Welcome to the American Institute of Healthcare Professionals Videogram on protecting your teen from substance abuse. And this was originally prepared by Dr. Dominic Fleury. And this is a topic that is found within our substance abuse practitioner program. And I will be in play in lieu of Dr. Dominic Fleury. My name is Mark Moran. I'm the Assistant Executive Director at AIHCP. So this particular video goes along with many of the concepts and ideas that are found in our substance abuse practitioner program itself. So it's just a short video for parents with some statistics and some ideas on how to help their teen. And as a parent myself, I have experienced many of the similar situations, probably that many of you have also seen with your own particular teen. And many of the things that are expressed in this video are things that I have used with success as well with my own teen who is now much older and fortunately survived these troubling years of adolescence and teenage life itself. Unfortunately, stats show that 9 out of 10 teens themselves find that their addiction, anyone who is living in their 20s, 30s, adult life, their addiction, 9 out of 10 found that it was originally started within their teen years itself. In regards to drinking, one of the biggest culprits, this is a leading cause, one of the 3 leading causes of death for those between 12 and 20, not just through the drug itself in terms of alcohol poisoning, but in regards to drunk driving, which is a national problem. It's a health problem for not just teens, but for all ages itself. At least 50% of teens have misused at least one type of drug once, and that's a scary thought. That includes alcohol, obviously, or smoking, but it can also mean a lot of the more nefarious types of drugs that exist out there. Now, as we know, drugs or anything that are illicit that can cause an addictive behavior, and addiction can be to almost anything in life itself in terms of personalities. But in regards to drugs, the addictions can go from a smaller problem to much more grave issues, obviously. Gateway drugs such as alcohol and smoking are sometimes as far as your teen may go. And that's bad enough in regards to underage drinking issues, court issues, as well as potential of driving drunk. And of course, smoking can really have long-term effects on their overall health if they are found to be addicted in their teen years. So we see a lot of individuals, teenagers, fallen prey to smoking, alcohol, and vaping, and later marijuana possibly, and God forbid, cocaine, heroin, meth, and pills. And pills in particular, ecstasy or other types of pharmaceutical pills, are extremely dangerous because individuals don't know if they're going to have allergic reactions to them. They don't know if these pills are the proper dose. They don't know if they've been laced with something. And the pills are also it could be almost anything. They just pop whatever pill it might be, and if they're on a particular medication. So this is why it's extremely important, just like parents who have firearms, to properly lock prescription drugs when there are teenagers in the house, so that these particular drugs are not then used illicitly or found at various teenage parties and so forth. So teenagers in themselves, because they're going through a change in life, a hormonal change, are trying to find identity. And in finding that identity, they're much more in flux, and they're much more willing to experiment and try things that they shouldn't be. Other risk factors for your particular teen could be past trauma, if they were abused sexually, unfortunately, or physically. Those who display impulsive behavior, those teens that are going through awkward phases, that have low self-esteem and wish to fit in, and any types of teens who have mental health conditions or have addiction issues within one's own family history. So those things can lead to it. But the biggest are the social pressures that teenagers find themselves in within the high school environment and with their friends. So peer pressure and seeing others do various things can make even the best of kids, even the best of teens, to maybe just once try something. And unfortunately, that one time could be a deadly time. Teens also are going through a certain phase where they feel invincible. They feel that it won't happen to them. But unfortunately, as we see with many drunk driving crashes, it does happen. So it's extremely important to try to speak to your teen about the fact that they are not invincible, that it can happen to them. Unfortunately, sometimes it takes some experiences close to home for them to see. Maybe a friend or something bad happens, and maybe that is the wake up call they need so that this invincibility mirage will vanish in itself. Now, of course, finally, bad company, bad situations, and bad company, and occasions of sin, as it's called, always usually rot the good apple in the barrel. So it's very important to be on top of that and to prevent your teen from falling into the wrong crowd. Which leads us to the most important slide, is how can parents be better at helping their teens prevent uh, addiction in their early life, and also help them deal with peer pressure and to steer the course through these troubled waters of adolescence and teenage years. So number one is education, education of your children at a young age not to do drugs, but also to educate them as they grow older and more mature about the types of drugs, what they do, and how on a black market they can even be more dangerous, being laced and so forth. Also discuss various issues of the dangers to health due to poor decisions, impaired driving, sexual activity, and addiction itself, in regards to how sexual activity and drinking in itself can cause dangerous scenarios. You want to also include the teenager in their own discussion about what they think and what they feel. Now, some teens may not want to be as open. They're going through an awkward phase and they don't want to talk with mom or dad. But this is where parents have to double down and become more so assertive, even more so. And when the child was a mere infant or toddler, they get so much focus then, and then as they become teenagers, there seems to be a drift. So this continued education of what drugs are, reasons not to use drugs, ways to avoid peer pressure are extremely important. Not only that, but give alternatives to drinking, give alternatives to drugs and other issues by talking about other ways that you can enjoy your teenage years with hobbies and other healthy outlets through sports and camping and things of that effect. Also, as a parent, are you setting a good example? Are you drinking? Are you doing or experimenting with drugs? This can be a big reason why your children may, if they want to emulate and imitate the parent. So, as setting a good example, you also, if you do drink, you need to teach children and teenagers that you don't drive drunk, that you do use alcohol responsibly, and using that, so lock it up in terms of if there's teenagers in the house, the liquor cabinet, or the pharmaceutical drugs and themselves. Also, be sure to set clear rules with your teens regarding consequences if they do. A little bit on our last list, it does say when you do set rules that if they do make a mistake, and if they do try a drug or they get drunk, that they can call you and yet you will still come and get them, and that it's not the end of the world. You don't want them compounding an error by wandering off with dangerous individuals, entering into sexual activity, or driving and possibly injuring others or killing themselves in a drunk driving accident. So it's very important for them to respect you when you set these rules, but not have a fear of God in them, that if they do mess up, that they have to hide it or that they cannot call you. It's much better to get them calling you to pick them up and then go over what they did wrong than a police officer calling you that something bad has happened. Now, again, I spoke about how active parents are with their children in their toddler years and infant years. You have to be more active in your teen years, and that means reviewing social media. No teen should have a lock of their social media from their parents. And this is ways that if you're a friend with them on their social media, you can keep a good view on what they're discussing, what they're talking about. And this allows for an open way of communication. Also, as a parent, you should know where your teenager is. If they have a curfew, you need to know that where they're at and when are they going to be home. And this involves, like what parenting in general involves, stress. It involves being on the teen, calling the teen, texting the teen, knowing where they are, and if necessary, a tracker, knowing where they are at as well. Also, become a friend of various teens that come over. Make yourself known. Have them over for dinner, their friends. Get to know them. Uh, don't be a parent that wants to be cool to the extent where you're being more of a problem in terms of maybe drinking. As they say, some parents try to be the cool parents and have their kids drink at their home and party at their home than somewhere else. And they try to justify it as, well, at least I know where they're at. And this is not the type of knowledge and influence you want to have with friends of your teen. Instead, you want to be a source of maturity for them, but also a source of security and knowing that you're there if it needs to be. And then by knowing these friends, you're also more capable of knowing if your child, your teen, is in bad company or not. And finally, of course, in doing all this, if you're this involved, you're going to monitor any changes that you see in behavior. So parenting isn't the easiest thing. There's really no book that you can open on parenting 101 per se. It's a trial by fire, so to speak, type of journey. And we make mistakes as parents as we go by, and we try to do better. But in regards to drugs, alcohol, and addiction, it's something that we must take as parents very seriously, and we need to become involved, maybe to the point of over involvement. And we need to be a source of security, but also a source of authority, a good example, and so forth. AIHCP, as I said, offers a substance abuse practitioner certification, which you can enter into if qualified to help individuals through substance abuse. Our link is below, and also our phone at 330-652-7776. And our email is info@aihcp.org. Again, as parents, we need to take a strong interest in our teens' life. And part of that is educating them about addiction and drugs, and also becoming part of their life and knowing where they are and when they're not. It's okay to have a good relationship with your parents, with your teens at a friendly level, but remember, we're their father or mother first, not their friend. And that's one of the biggest mistakes most parents make. I'd like to thank you for listening, and good luck with your teen.